Apartheid was battled predominantly on the gateway of southward Africa, and the struggle was led on the courageous Winnie Madikizela-Mandela, then the youthful wife of liberty soldier Nelson Mandela. It was Madikizela-Mandela who reminded the nationality and the planet of the urgent to oppose race inequity in the direction Africans. She remained on the front line channel to consumer demand liberty, not fair for this political prisoners, but as well for the 40 millionth black and tan people how made up the nationality of southward Africa. Time this people sing songs on Nelson Mandela, it was Madikizela-Mandela, unsubdued, brave or unyielding, someone kept this unteth as red expect of the human beings focused and live during the horrors perpetrated by the apartheid mode. They believe since they include put my man on an aisle how he will be neglected. They are incorrect. The stronger they try to silence him, this louder I will be, she told at the period. And louder she became, give her a person to the fight versus race apartheid and an passionate vote for this countless quantity from people annihilated for the apartheid epoch. Via the, she gained the name, Mom of the Nationality. It is expressive how she chose to dwell amongst the human beings in Soweto before her fleeting. Yet, she paid an enormous cost for liberty, this order to silence and penalize her as it were, continued so history the nation's 1994 transition of apartheid to most guideline. Time we cannot very aware which transpired in the Mandela wedding, it appears her own man could not pardon her misdeeds, yet he was capable for forgive the apartheid system and by the government. The pair dissolved in 1996, 2 years following Nelson Mandela had been sworn as the nation's at first dark CEO. For largest people, though was difficult to conciliate, the mockery of the perceivable abuse from the woman who helping for usher in liberty or birth a complementary nationality, currently sidelined and punished openly and fiercely, via a print attack. It emerging her failings were far more rather than her contributions for the struggle for liberty, one double norm female continue to person though present. Though she play one pivotal part in the nation's search to independence, her political travel and struggle for liberty was complex or best understood during the background of the southward African patriarchy framework. The beasts of patriarchal or misogyny were deep-rooted culture practices and norms within all the races in southward Africa, black, whites, Hindu and painted, blended racing. Women were and are frequently seen and purified as other class citizens in a nation dominated on men. She had to swim these facility system and culture practices as top as she knew how. In May 1977 to sample, she was expelled from Soweto, in Johannesburg, to else African township external this Afrikaner-dominated town from Brandfort, in Orange complementary country. The African feminism icon had been thrust in the epicenter of the fight in 1964 while her man was condemned to lifetime in jail on extortion of betrayal. Though she was given visit rights, Mandela had no natural pin in her man for almost 22 years. Left out of options, she incarnate the invincible ghost of lot African female who just would not behind downward against the risk of destruction via detention, sexual or natural abuse, isolation or torture. Madikizela-Mandela was no ultimate character, down there were different accountable of estimated hard potable, illegitimate sphere, concoction of attack and abduction associated to her policy militancy in the previous 1990s and identity theft and scam in the previous 2000s, but these include to be seen versus the realities of the atrocities and ruthless cruelty she floored at the hands of the apartheid mode. This teen militant's body was found in a box close Madikizela-Mandela's Soweto household in his neck cut and was supposedly annihilated by Jerry Richardson, trainer of the Mandela Joint Soccer Clubhouse and her head bodyguard. Richardson is now serving lifetime in jail for the 1989 assassination from Moaketsi. In her own speech, Madikizela-Mandela told how she became a food of the rank of my nation and the food of my foe. Analyzing Madikizela-Mandela's policy contributions and private failures via one-dimensional lens, as is frequently made, reinforces the really culture practices and faith system against female she also fought versus. In a reminiscence, portion of My Ground Went in Him, how was published in 1984, Madikizela-Mandela wrote on the gravity of her exile to Brandfort, I am a residing character of everything is event in the nation, she wrote. I am a residing character of the whites person's terror. I never carried out how deep embedded the terror is before I came for Brandfort. She lived by 24 times study and observation, but extended to challenge restrictions superimposed on her everyday movements by with whites only social amenities and buildings, training human beings, both of dark and whites, on the fight. In her volume 100 Year of Fight, Mandela's ANC, Heidi Holland, a Southward African reporter and writer, offered how Madikizela-Mandela was maybe managed part mad by safety police force oppression. They often invaded her household and dormitory out of impunity. Out of a question, Mandela's unfaltering solve versus a framework how was set to destroy the most dark people, frequently stood in dispute in culture norms and consumer expectations for a female. She was named to openly problem whites police force commanders, man and woman. Which are you making there, murder our human beings? Which are you breathtaking our human beings to, she would say in her common confrontations in the authorities. We must not do the error of with her moments of weak to determine her heritage. The story at Madikizela-Mandela has been certain by white Southward African man wrath in overwhelming the African woman express. In several honor, her life has been a supported assault on which the African woman vote should be. Love her spit behalf, Namzamo, that tool, she who endures testing, she endured the fight versus apartheid before the late Southward African CEO Cyril Ramaphosa said from her, she was obstinate on name of our human beings since she knew how out her obstinate propensity, she would be capable to instill millions of Southward Africans. Winnie Mandela foliage a enormous heritage. As we say in African civilization, one giant wood has fall.